Hello, chat. Welcome back. If you were here yesterday, we played 7 rounds of Swiss in the ManaTraders 15K. Won the first 5, lost the last 2, and snuck in as the only X2 at 8th place. So we are now in the top 8 of the ManaTraders 15K playing Esper Tinker. Our first round opponent is Osmandius, powerful bug wizard with this bug list. I can show you real quick. Pretty standard Tarmogoyf, Endurance, Collector Roof, Leovold, 1 Vigor in the main. He has a Sylvan Library ahead, which I thought was interesting. Osmandius usually talks about the different kind of tech he's trying, both on Twitter and in the Discord. So if you're interested in bug, it's a pretty good place to shoot ideas back and forth. Little bit of a recap from yesterday. We played a bunch of different decks. We played against a couple Force of Vigor decks, played against a Dredge deck, played against 2 Golos decks, played against Oops All Spells, and I think one more, and a Ragavan deck. I don't know, maybe that was the Force of Vigor deck. Either way, we played against a variety of decks, and our deck, my thoughts on our deck was that I felt like it was fine. It was a powerful choice, but it felt... My biggest issues were that it was clunky and the mana is very bad. I do thoroughly believe that the mana in this deck is quite poor. And the biggest reason it's quite poor is probably because of Saga, and also because you don't have like Opal to help fix the way PO does. And you really are playing a true three colors in a Wasteland Vigor format. Now, that's not to say Saga was bad yesterday. Saga was definitely not bad yesterday. Saga won some games and was pretty crucial in creating constructs that clocked our opponents. But I would say that the best part of the deck is and will always probably be Tinker for Bolas Citadel / Tinker for Sphinx, as long as decks continue to not respect Sphinx. And then I thought Time Vault Key actually was quite good. When we weren't getting Collector Roofed out, Vault Key was very strong. Vault Key not being Pyroblasted or Force of Willed, Pyroblasted or Flusterstormed, and then if you have Saga, it also can't even be countered on Key, does make it pretty powerful. However, we didn't really Saga for Key very much. I think we just were unlucky and drew our Key a lot, or tutored for Key using other means. That was like a little here, a little there. So I guess like the biggest thing to talk about is Saga, and you kind of got this drift from all my past videos, and I tried to explain it in the comments a little bit on my last Tinker Saga video. I'm having a hard time talking about Saga because the people who really like Saga immediately place it at like an 100 out of 100 power level. Restrict this card. It's so good. The weakness and they're like the weaknesses are kind of irrelevant because it's so good. And I think they kind of ignore like the vulnerabilities that Saga causes and the mana issues that Saga causes. And so it's tough because I don't want to say, I don't think Saga is a 25 out of 100. But if I say Saga is like a 75 out of 100, and then we start talking about it, like if we compromise somewhere, it's like, oh, it's an 85 out of 100. I don't really think that's true. I think like in my mind, Saga is a powerful card that presents a decent secondary avenue of attack. But comes at a cost of making your lands very vulnerable, your mana very vulnerable, and also producing lots of mana issues for you. Most of that is due to Force of Vigor. Force of Vigor being a huge point of weakness, where your land can be Force of Vigored, and you are not only set behind your land drop, but you also can be set behind a Moxen or something else. Sometimes you're even set behind a mana source because they can do it with the trigger on the stack. And a lot of the times you don't have so many mana sources and so many color sources in your deck. And so there's a lot of times where you take a Saga and you're just hoping that it makes it to 3 so that you can go find a color source. And this opens you up to getting wastelanded and being stuck on different colors of mana. There's also the issue where if you get Collector Oofed, Urza Saga is and isn't good against Collector Roof, and the difference of when it is and when it isn't good against Collector Roof is entirely based on how many other lands you have in play. If you can support activating your Saga with a Collector Roof in play, it's not a huge deal because you're going to win via constructs. However, if you do not have the lands, and there's a lot of reasons why you might not have the lands. You might have been wastelanded. You might just not draw them. It's still a very low land count for a 60 card deck. You're only on 16 lands, and one of them is the Saga. So there are just like a lot of instances where you have a Saga, but you can't make a construct because Collector Roof is restricting you on mana. And then what happens is your land now becomes a colorless land with vanishing. After a couple turns, it goes away. You get an artifact that doesn't do anything because there's a Collector Roof in play, and now you don't even have the colorless mana that you had before. And in my experience, I found that happens when Collector Roof is in play more often than, say, you have 2 islands and you can activate at will and make constructs. And I think people's experience in that matter does vary quite a bit. But in my experience, that has been my experience with Saga in terms of versus Collector Roof. So what happened in our matchups versus Vigor the other day, yesterday, our opponents just didn't have it. And so when our opponents didn't have it and Saga went unanswered, Saga didn't get Wasteland, Saga didn't get Vigor, Saga didn't get Fragmentized, nothing happened to our Saga. Saga's obviously insane. Making 2 constructs from your land is incredible, and then tutoring a combo piece or a top or a needle, all of the tutor targets were great. So that did work out very well. So I do think the biggest problem with this deck is the mana. And I don't know if that should be solved by cutting a color. The problem is each color in this deck does fulfill a very important role. White basically allows you to play against creatures and permanents. Black basically makes your combos more achievable. And blue is insane. Blue is vintage. Vintage is blue. Blue is vintage. That's that's how I feel about it. I do think Saga is a good card, and you should be playing Saga in decks like this. The place where I don't think you should be playing Saga is in PO. I still firmly hold the belief that you're making your PO deck worse by adding 4 land spells that just make your deck clunky and don't help facilitate your main game plans. Excuse me, sorry. I think that's the one where I'm sticking my guns out. Sticking my guns out. That's a weird thing. I'm just sticking to my guns and holding out. I did the thing where I took the 2 phrases I wanted to say and I combined them again. But yes, I still believe that Saga as a 4 of is not good in PO. It's possible there are PO builds where you want Saga as a 2 of as a spell. I could definitely see that. But I haven't experimented too much because I don't really think you should be playing PO in a metagame where Pyroblast is coming back and Force of Vigor is still, and Flusterstorm are still at all-time highs, and people are also playing these random Hole Breacher decks. You don't want to be playing PO against random Hole Breacher decks. It's really, really annoying. Okay, that's my spiel. It was a good 7 rounds yesterday. We got to play some really interesting Magic. We had some pretty good back and forths, even though we got kind of smashed in a couple rounds. And I'm excited to play my top 8 today. The top 8 is stacked, absolutely stacked. P9, Osmandius, Dom Harvey, just Leofa, just a load of killers, basically. So it should be a pretty awesome top 8. Let's hope we can make it all the way through. Okay, chat, here we go. Top 8 quarterfinals versus Aussie Man. And what do we got? We've got an Opposition Agent, which is okay against Bug. Misstep, which I like against Bug. Fluster, which is whatever. And Balance, which I don't mind either. Yeah, I think this is a reasonable keep against Bug. Ooh. Oof, there it is. Hopefully not Sylvan Library. That would be pretty bad for me. Ooh, Time Walk into like a Leovold or something? Or I guess Leovold's not the worst. It would be like Oko is pretty bad. Classic Bug, Mox, and Draw. Yep. Time Walk, Emerald, Recall. And Fluster? Ooh. You didn't have to do me like this. Sapphire. Okay. I'm jealous of my opponent's jewelry. Well, not the art, just the amount of it. It's gonna be a tough game to win. Our hand is fairly underpowered in comparison to my opponent's. I don't think it was a mulligan. Like, I think my 7-card hand was reasonable, but it wasn't, you know, Ancestral, Time Walk, 2 Mox, and reasonable. So we'll have to see if we can. Basically, I think the key to winning this game is going to be leveraging a balance as a multiple for one. Like, maybe 2 creatures and a land or something. That would probably be the key to winning this game. Assuming they have creatures, which it doesn't seem like they do. It looks like they have all spells, which is not a bad thing for us, considering we have Force Fluster and a Flash creature. It does mean our balance is pretty sad. Maybe they have like an Endurance. That's kind of an interesting one. I guess it does expose me a little bit to getting Vigored, but maybe it's actually not correct to play Saga here, and we're just supposed to play Tundra. I could actually see good arguments for that. I just slammed it because I thought it made a lot of sense, but actually, there's definitely some arguments to be said about just not even playing Saga. Here's your Wasteland. Yeah. I kind of agree. I mean, a little bit of here and there. There are definitely like subsets of hands where playing Saga here is much better than playing Tundra, and there are definitely sets of hands, like any hand that involves a Wasteland, playing Saga there's worse. But if my opponent doesn't have a Wasteland, then it's better. Yep. So here, if I don't draw a land here, it's going to be my biggest decision, where I Tundra balance just for my Collector Oof. If I can draw a fetch land, it's probably the best. Just a Swords, okay. Now I don't see a need to cast balance right away here. I don't know if I entirely agree. Like, my opponent, I think they have an Endurance, and I think they have a Flusterstorm. Is the reads that I'm getting. I think the two reads that I have right now are Flusterstorm and Endurance. Actually, do they have a second Flusterstorm? Yeah, they have 2 Flusterstorms in their main. A Flusterstorm is really awkward because it means that we're going to have a very hard time resolving balance. I mean, they could have a Force too. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Now it's balance time. I think I'm going to fetch my second. No, I have a Pearl. Never mind. They have a Daze in their deck? No. I don't think they're a Daze gamer. Crypt is nice. Lets me play something here. All right, so I have a balance. If they have a Force, I have a Force. We should win. It's going to leave me with 1 card left in hand. It'll probably be Opposition Agent. They're going to lose a land here. Yeah, they had a Force and an Oko. All right, so they lose a land, I lose a card, and I wipe their 2 creatures off the board. I think I want to keep my Opposition Agent over a Swords to Plowshares. But I'm not 100% sure that that's true. Like, if I get Wastelanded, it looks a little silly. But I think I'm going to keep this. It's unfortunate that this is a Pearl, I guess, but... Yeah, my opponent... I don't know, they have one card left. They're on top decks. Their best top deck is Demonic Tutor, right? Or like... a card like Demonic Tutor. I am on a Crypt clock now, though, because I had to play the Crypt, so I wouldn't have to discard it. Maybe I didn't have to play it, so I would just discard it and it would be fine. I think it makes sense to keep the Crypt around, though. Okay. I still think that their last card is... Endurance. But I could be wrong. That's just a feeling. I don't see a good reason to end step a opposition agent when I have a force with no blue card. I lost the flip, though. I guess if they had an endurance, they probably would have cast it on the last turn so that they would just clock me out of this game. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's just an Assassin's Trophy or something. Now I feel pretty good about my hand. Obviously, this doesn't beat... Oh, they have no Abrupt Decays in their deck. They only have Assassin's Trophies. All right, so I'm going to probably end step this here no matter what. If they fetch, I'm definitely going to do it. I think it makes sense to end step... No, I could just get another blue card, another Fluster. Yeah, I'm actually kind of off it. I'm going to just draw another card. I am dying to this Mana Crypt, obviously, because it's my Mana Crypt. It doesn't like me that much. It cooperates every so often. All right. It might have been wrong to be holding this opposition angel the whole time. It just feels like if I can draw like blue card and have Force Fluster, it's a better spot. Another pass? Like, my Fluster gets better if they actually play something. But I am worried about my Mana Crypt. I am worried about my Mana Crypt. I don't know. I don't really want to wait anymore. All right, so they just have Assassin's Trophy, or they just have an Endurance. If they have an Endurance and we can draw a blue source, it's an interesting place to be. Okay, well, I'm gonna attack into the Endurance here. I have to clock my opponent. Okay, they didn't have an Endurance. What do they have in their hand? Vigor? I don't know. I don't know what's in their hand. I have no idea. Five cards and I just don't know what they are. They only have one more Fluster in their deck. I don't know. I still might not race my own Mana Crypt here. That's definitely a possibility. Mana Crypt, please? Jesus. I'm currently not doing well at racing my Mana Crypt. The only way my deck gets rid of Mana Crypt is Tinker, right? Is this a dig through time? No, here's the Endurance. The reason I'm doing this is because it leaves me with the option to force Hardcast or Fluster. So they had Force Fluster. Okay, that makes sense. So now there are no more Flusters in my opponent's deck. The only thing they could have is another pitched force. I think it's just better to fluster here. It's a little awkward that I can't hard cast this force now just because I haven't drawn another blue source. So if they have like a pretty powerful spell or something, I can't counter it, but I could have kept my brainstorm instead of this force, but I don't really feel that's a super strong play. I do like die to I guess another force on my force, but I would die to that either way, right? And not die, but I go to 1 and I have a mana crypt flipped, right? Okay, that resolves. Okay. They have a dig through time? No. I don't know. Maybe they have 2 lands. They just chose not to play. I don't know. I'm at 4 though. I don't have much life left here. Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate it.
Hello and GL Justin.
All right, can I win? Can I win a flip? No, I lost another flip. Yep. I mean, I can't beat my own mana crypt, man. It's too much. My own mana crypt is just too much. I have to win 3 flips. That's impossible. It's just a 0%er to win 3 flips. Assassin's Trophy. You know, I kind of need this in play, so. F6 value, though. Oh, another one. Okay. All right. Well, I have no clock, and I'm dying every turn to my mana crypt. And they have access to tutors again. All right. Flip number 1 is at 1 life. I won the flip. Tinker? Tinker? Any tinkers? That's not the worst card. Hardcast Force. Yep. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have played this mana crypt. I could have chosen to discard this mana crypt. I could have definitely chosen to discard this mana crypt. But I did use it to hardcast a force, right? No, I actually never hardcast any of my forces. No! No! Wait, they've been sandbagging one of these. I guess they've been sandbagging Collector Roof? Kind of weird. So now Tinker doesn't get me out of this game. I won the flip. All right. Okay. It was a tough game. It was a tough game. I don't know if we could have won if we played differently. Maybe if we had gotten rid of this, if we hadn't kept the crypt, it's possible. The crypt was a huge issue. Maybe just playing the crypt was wrong. Yeah, sandbagging the oof so they could hardcast force. That makes sense. That makes sense. They really don't have to put a threat in play because I have a mana crypt in play. It's possible that I just... No. I don't think Brainstorm was ever the play.
Where'd the whitelist go? The Justin I know never loses crypt flips.
Have you been on this stream before? I don't know if I've ever won a crypt flip. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I just played badly and I shouldn't have played. I should have just discarded the mana crypt. It's totally possible, right? I think it might have just been a pretty bad misplay. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I needed the crypt. I can't remember the cards that I take out in this matchup.
By the power of the whitelist. Go.
What else do I take out in this matchup? Why do I feel like I'm overboarding here? Oh, it's because I normally don't bring in 3 needles. Kind of want 3 needles though. Oh, it's because I'm going up to 4 fluster. All right, I'm not going to 4 fluster. I'm going to 3 fluster. I can't let myself play 4 fluster storm, man. It's too much. Guess this is fine. I know that Dom and P9 were saying play 4 fluster, but I just really don't want to play 4 fluster storm here. I probably should, but whatever. Battle. All right, so my opponent brought in 3 vigor, maybe a flux. I'd probably flusters and Sylvan libraries, possibly. Maybe an assassin's trophy. Let's see. Nope, hand's not keepable. I guess this is fine. It's not about trophy, it's about vigor, right? I don't know. Can't tell you the right answer here. I've always hated Flusterstorm as a PO player versus Bug, but maybe as a Saga Tinker player, it's different. A lot of people who I trust have told me that I'm supposed to keep putting more Flusterstorms in so I don't get hosed by Vigor as much. Just gonna be a collector roof, maybe? Okay. I don't think I'm supposed to force there. Maybe I am just because of Wasteland, but... They don't care very much about this. It unlocks their jet. But, I think it's still a good use of my mana. Of course. I don't know if I've ever played a 5 Moxen deck that had as many Moxen as a Bug player, though. That one I don't want existing. Okay. I'm not thrilled about that. Of course, maybe I should have left this stupid oof in play. It's gonna be a tough game. Again. Where are my Ancestral Tinker hands? That's the real question. Yeah. I don't really think I'm allowed to cast that. All right. Let's see. If they don't have a wasteland and I can spin into a land, or if they don't have a vigor as well, I guess. Then maybe we can let Saga take over this game. I need to both hit a land and have them not have a vigor or a wasteland, right? Which I guess is kind of asking for a lot. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This matchup just, if I'm not doing my overpowered Tinker thing, I don't really understand how I'm supposed to combat this. You see, I think I can build a PO deck that's good versus Bug, but I'm not really sure that I can build a Tinker Saga deck that's good versus Bug. I'm gonna hold on to this Brainstorm until this trigger goes on the stack to get max value. That does open me up to getting Flusterstormed, but at this point in the game, I don't really feel like I have a choice. I think white are your best cards versus Bug, so I don't think I really agree with that statement. Yes, but I don't like. I don't think the blue black version is actually good versus Bug. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm just gonna get the most mana possible, and then try to ending on my next turn the oof and go off or something. That's my plan. Am I gonna hold this Tundra? Is the question. Think so. I think the problem is for most sweepers that you just don't ever have the mana to cast them. I mean, it is a little awkward that my opponent was able to accelerate to their powerful cards using Moxen, but I wasn't, right? Yeah, I mean, I've played Deluge for Bug in the past. Deluge is a little awkward versus Bug because of how fast they clock you and how thick a Tarmogoyf can be. All right, here we are, chat. I'm looking for is Prismatic Ending to resolve and then defined Tinker for Sphinx. That's my plan. It's a pretty decent plan. All right, they had Force as well. So, like, my opponent didn't really draw that many cards this game, but the cards they did have were Strip Mine, 2 Collector Roof, 2 Moxen, Tarmogoyf, Deathrite Shaman. Like, does this? I feel pretty outclassed, right? So yeah, I don't really know. I think maybe I should mulligan for better hands, I guess. I just think this Tinker deck is so weak if you don't draw Tinker. Like, the rest of this deck is just so bad. I didn't have a hand that had Ancestral or Tinker, right? I don't know. I mean, we got out Force of Willed in one of the games, right? Or one of the instances, maybe? Yeah, I think so. Sneak, I think it just gets trophied. I think the big problem in game 1 was I probably shouldn't have played Mana Crypt. I didn't think it would be an issue, but in retrospect, playing the Mana Crypt was probably bad. Like I'm like Opposition Agent and Balance can both be considered pre-board Opposition Agent, Balance, and Sphinx of the Steelwind. I personally consider 3 main board cards for Bug, and I specifically put them in my deck so that because I expected Bug to be one of the most played decks in the tournament. It did end up being the most played deck in the tournament. Like, I think I built this deck with a slant towards beating Bug, and I just think the matchup still feels atrocious. All right. I do think that, like, the hands we kept, I don't know if they're not, I think they're acceptable keeps, but I do think the hands we kept were severely underpowered, and maybe I should be changing mulligan heuristics to look for more powerful hands. That's definitely the thing that would stick out to me the most about the games we just played. Like, for the rest of it, my play, I think, was fine. The Mana Crypt, obviously, being the glaring decision that maybe was a mistake, but yeah, that's it. I'm out. It looks like Dom Harvey beat the Power 9, Leofa beat QQE, and Yamas beat God of Slaughter. So your top 4 will be Bug versus Golos, Oath versus Leofa, who was on PO. So Oath versus PO and Golos versus Bug are the top 4, and that's it for me. What I'm gonna do is send everybody over to the mainstream to let you watch the rest of the top 8. It was a good run. Pretty happy with. It was a rough day yesterday, even though we made top 8. But I'm like fairly happy with performance. I don't know if I would play this deck again. I kind of think there's got to be something better and more powerful that exists. This just feels a little bit underwhelming to me, and kind of always has. So. We're gonna have to go back into the think tank before the September 5th PTQ, which is next Sunday. So next Sunday on Magic Online, there's a Vintage Pro Tour qualifier. You need qualifier points to enter, so make sure you play in prelims this week. And then we'll be back Sunday for more Premier Vintage action. I mean, we'll be back Saturday for more challenges too, but yeah. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern for a stream, Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern for a stream, and Sunday, whenever the PTQ starts for a stream. Those are the next streams for me. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.